considered a mathematically certain conquest. Their intelligence division had produced 17 separate assessments of Earth's military capability. 15 had rated it as inadequate to meaningfully resist a collective strike force of the assembled scale. 2 had flagged certain intelligence gaps regarding human development programs in the outer system installations, but those flags had been reviewed by senior analysts who'd rated the gap's potential significance as below operational threshold. The collective's fleet, 47 warships of varying class, positioned across Earth's orbital space with a specific coordinated precision of a civilization that had conducted 17 successful annexations using identical methodology, represented a force that no planet in their operational history had successfully resisted. The ultimatum was genuinely expected to produce surrender within 48 hours, with the 3-day window included as diplomatic generosity. Cale Dunning had been Earth's primary diplomatic contact with the collective for the preceding 8 months, a posting he'd received because his assessment profile included the specific combination of communication skill and specific type of composure that the Foreign Ministry considered suitable for negotiations with species whose opening positions tended toward aggression. He'd spent 8 months being exceptionally pleasant about circumstances that were, objectively, aggressive. He'd also spent 8 months attending the bi-weekly briefings from Earth's Defense Coordination Office that were classified at a level his collective counterparts had not detected his clearance for, because the assumption that human intelligence gathering capabilities were limited to visible technological infrastructure was a consistent error among species encountering humanity for the first time. The small holographic display that appeared beside him during the 3rd minute of Supreme Commander Greth Vassal's ultimatum delivery was not an accident. Cale had activated it deliberately, because the briefing from Defense Coordination 2 days earlier had confirmed the readiness status he'd been waiting to see, and the meeting's timing was, in retrospect, reasonably aligned with when he'd prefer to have this conversation. The display showed Earth's orbital defense grid activation sequence. The collective's representatives saw it because he'd positioned it to be visible to them. The positioning was deliberate. He was not attempting to hide it. "What is that?" Supreme Commander Vassal said, the ultimatum's delivery pausing mid-sentence. "That's the orbital defense grid," Cale said. "Earth's coordinated planetary defense installation. We've been developing it for 11 years in the outer system, which is why your intelligence assessment rated the gap there as below threshold. The threshold was calibrated for conventional installation signatures. These don't have conventional signatures." The window behind him, which had been showing 47 collective warships when the meeting began, was now showing considerably more objects than 47. Some of them were collective warships. A significant number were not. "Those are," Vassal began. "Defense platforms," Cale confirmed. 214, as of this morning's deployment confirmation. They've been coming out of Eclipse from the far side for the last 40 minutes. I thought you'd have noticed by now, which is part of why I let the ultimatum continue as long as it did. The 4 collective delegates at the table were now performing the specific calculations that individuals perform when the parameters of a situation have shifted significantly from the ones they walked in with. "This is a deception," Vassal said, though his voice carried the quality of someone testing whether the statement was true rather than asserting it. "Your fleet sensors are currently providing you with readings that should contradict that assessment," Cale said. "I'd check." The delay that followed was roughly 20 seconds, during which the collective delegates were clearly receiving exactly the sensor data Cale had predicted, and which was confirming rather than contradicting his description of the orbital environment. 214 platforms, Vassal said finally. "Plus the 47 warships you brought," Cale said. "Those are still there. We didn't move them. Their presence is now somewhat different in context than when you arrived. You enclosed our fleet. The platforms were coming online regardless of this meeting, Cale said, with the specific pleasant accuracy of someone providing factual clarification rather than claim. The timing is a coincidence, though I'll admit a convenient one. Vassal looked at the orbital display. At the human across the table who had spent 8 months being exceptionally pleasant and who was currently being equally pleasant under circumstances that the Supreme Commander was revising his assessment of rapidly. "What is it that you want from this meeting, Ambassador?" Vassal said, which was a significantly different question than the one the collective had intended to be asking at this point. "A framework agreement," Cale said. "Something that addresses whatever legitimate interest the collective has in this region of space through channels that don't involve orbital bombardment ultimatums. Earth has resources and development capacity that could be useful to you. We'd prefer to discuss that. You enclosed our fleet, and now you want to negotiate." "We enclosed your fleet, and now we'd like to negotiate without the ultimatum framing," Cale clarified. "The fleet situation is separate. Your ships are free to leave, of course. We're not detaining anyone." The implication, that leaving was now a different proposition than arriving had been, settled across the table with the weight of something that didn't need to be stated explicitly. The framework discussions took 6 weeks. The agreement that emerged addressed collective resource interests in the outer belt through a trade arrangement, established formal diplomatic channels that didn't include ultimatum delivery, and produced what analysts called a durable stabilization outcome that significantly exceeded the expected result of the initial contact scenario. The 2 intelligence analysts who'd flagged the outer system gap as potentially significant both received commendations. The 15 who'd rated it below threshold received additional training on what below threshold meant in practice when applied to a species developing military infrastructure outside conventional detection parameters. Cale Dunning filed his mission report with the Foreign Ministry 2 days after the framework agreement was signed. In the outcome section, he wrote 3 words: "Good timing helps." His supervisor, reviewing the report, added her own notation in the margin. Understatement of the year. The Dominion Collective's Intelligence Academy revised its threat assessment doctrine the following year.